Well, hour number one was boys basketball. Hour number two, dedicated to the sport of wrestling. And now we move over to Iowa High School girls basketball. He is the information director of the Iowa Girls High School Athletic Union, and he is Jason Eslinger as he joins us on this Friday night. Jason, how are you, my friend?
How are you doing, Tony?
Not bad at all. Is the move done yet?
we're getting there. We're getting there. We're just about ready to pack up, and just about another 2 weeks. I think we're going to start moving stuff over the 14th of December. Hopefully, we'll be in business on the 15th in our new location in West Des Moines, and we're pretty excited about that.
I got to talk to an old friend and an old coach who used to do play-by-play with me, one of my color guys, and was a great Iowa High School girls basketball coach. Old Coach Jerry Wetzel. I know he came down to see you on Grand just this last week.
Yeah, I missed Jerry. I didn't get a chance to see him, but he was definitely one of our really good coaches and a good friend of the athletic union. And like I said, I was sorry I didn't get a chance to see him the other day, but I did hear that he did stop in. And like I said, Jerry's one of the good guys. No question about that.
Well, the Iowa Girls High School Athletic Union, you have your rankings. I know we have ours as well, but I do like what you've done this year. Along with the rankings, you have your individual top performances posted online as well, and we're going to utilize that information as well at iowasportsconnection.com as you identify some of the top performances in all the classes across the state on girls basketball this year. Great addition.
Yeah, well, we thought we'd do that. I know we've kind of automated our score reporting system, so was trying to find a way to get some of those nice performances that we used to report on the scores. This way, at least we can kind of try to do a weekly, the best performances of the week when we do our rankings. And there's been some good ones so far already this year.
Yeah, let's talk about a couple of them. As far as points scored in a career, Leah Miller over at Lawton Bronson hit that 1,000-point career plateau, and Odebo Arthur Battle Creek Ida Grove coach Pat Miller 300 victories. That's pretty quick over there. Boy, he really has done a great job with that program.
Yes, he has. Pat's one of he's obviously coaching the defending state champs in Class 2A, and it always helps to have a Kelsey Bolte and a Jesse Pauley every couple of years or so. That certainly helps, and I know there are a lot of coaches out there that would kill to have one of those kids once in a lifetime, and he's been very fortunate for that. But Pat is one of the really good coaches in our state and does a great job with the talent that he has, and well-deserved milestone for him, no question about that.
We're talking to Jason Eslinger, the information director at the Iowa Girls High School Athletic Union. Jason, let's go back and look at last year real quick as we move forward to this year. Des Moines East, the 4A champions last year, but we got a taste and a good look at some of the teams that will be looked at awfully closely this year in 2011, 2012, and one of them being the Trojanettes of Iowa City West.
Absolutely. This was the year that everybody was kind of shooting for B.J. Mayer's team, and then they kind of came up and surprised everyone last year, reaching the state championship game. But they've got they're a very talented team. They've got two All-Staters, and Allie Disterhoff and Mackenzie Piper back, and looks like they're off to a really good start. And they're obviously my top-ranked team in Class 4A. But I think Southeast Polk is going to have a special season as well. Caitlin Ingle, one of the truly fun players to watch in the state, and Todd Borson again got his team rolling early on as well. And of course Ankeny, they're number 3 in my ranking and in their IGHSAU rankings, and they've got the Oklahoma recruit or signee, I should say, Maddie Manning, one of the state's truly great athletes. So and then Mason City's got some returning kids back, including Jada Buckley, and those four in Class 4A I think are really the top tier, top teams in that big class.
And what's interesting here tonight, we just got the report. Mike Ferlazzo, my partner, usually he had to work with KSI tonight to work in there for Dave Sproul, and he did the Ames and Ankeny game tonight, and it was the Ames Little Cyclone young ladies who took care of Ankeny 43-42.
Oh, really?
They built a big lead, yeah. And Ankeny had came from a 15-point deficit to take the lead, but Ames ended up winning it 43-42. So a mild upset because Ames a top 10 team, but maybe a little better than maybe people predicted.
Absolutely. That's a great win for Joel Sullivan's team, and I think again, after I just say that those top four, I think maybe a little bit better than everyone else in that class. Obviously, Joel's proved me wrong on that today,
Yeah.
But good win for the Little Cyclones.
That's why rankings are for conversation.
Absolutely, that's just to get people talking. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well,
doesn't mean we know anything, right, Tony?
No, we have an idea, but we don't know it. So that's all it's about. Well, let's move over to Class 3A. Williamsburg, one of those teams that have been on a nice little rise, but much like the Ballard Bombers over the years, they always were close but never got there. Williamsburg, maybe it's their year this year.
Could be. Very strong team. I know I'm not sure their coach necessarily agrees with their number one ranking, but they've got one of the top players in that class, Mackenzie Bigby, truly another outstanding athlete, good volleyball player as well. But I think there's some, I think South Tama got a taste of state tournament action last year as a state qualifier, and they've got one of the top players in the state of Madison Bear. Be anxious to see how they did against a 2A sleeper tonight. I believe they played at Grundy Center, they hosted Grundy Center tonight. I haven't gotten a score on that yet, but I know Grundy, I think, is a 2A sleeper team. Be interested to see how they matched up with South Tama tonight. Dubuque Wahlert with Claire Till, the University of Iowa signee. Obviously, they're always ready to roll at tournament time because they play in the Mississippi Valley Conference against all the strong 4A schools in the Cedar Rapids area and Cedar Rapids Dubuque area. So I think they'll be tournament tested. Sergeant Bluff Luton has a couple All-Staters returning from their state tournament team and have a pretty good freshman coming up too in Amber Schubert that's played really well for them early on. And Benton, the state tournament team last year, strong Assumption are the defending state champs. I mean, it's easy to kind of overlook them, but they're always tough year in and year out. They have a new coach, so there's always a little bit of a learning curve there, but they'll be ready by the end of the season as well. And of course, MOC Floyd Valley, another strong team, and never ever count out Sioux City Bishop Elon.
No, and it's good to see some new blood. Glenwood made a good improvement last year. They've got some kids back that should have learned from that. We'll see how much. And a team that had some tradition, they kind of been off the radar for some years, but the Demons of Washington, one of those tradition-rich girls basketball programs that kind of fell off here in this decade, but look like they're coming back again.
Looks like they're coming back. They had a setback last night, but I think they played against top-ranked Williamsburg. Williamsburg ended up coming out on top last night, but I think they proved that they belong in that top 15 in Class 3A, and again, I think they are a top 10 team in that class.
It should be a lot of fun. And that was one of the most wide-open classes last year, probably the best of the tournament field last year from top to bottom when they got there to the state tournament at Wells Fargo Arena.
I think you're right, Tony, and I think that wide openness is still there as well. I mean, obviously some of the same strong teams that made it to the state tournament last year are strong again this year, but Ballard probably is not going to be as good as they were last year. Although they had a nice win against a very good Carroll team tonight, so they haven't fallen completely off the wayside. And like you said, you mentioned Glenwood and a team that had a tough tournament draw last year, but is playing really well. And of course, Union year in and year out is very strong, and Walk-On's already playing well. I had a nice win over a good Spirit Lake team to open up the year. So it's a really, really good class and a fun class to watch.
Well, it's easy to say, it's obvious to say, because Otabil Arthur Battle Creek Ida Grove has a huge target on their back. Defending state champs, and what a run that they've made, and they've been pretty dominant. But boy, the Cinderella team last year is not going to be Cinderella this year. They kicked that slipper off during the state tournament. Esterville Lincoln Central, everybody's got an eyeball on them. They really turned that from the beginning of the season to the end of the season, playing the best basketball. So those two look like on a dead-on collision course, depending on the pairings. But there's a lot of other good teams in that class. I mean, West Hancock of Britt moves up in that 2A field, and there's just so many teams with a lot of tradition in basketball there.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, Western Iowa, you don't want to live in Western Iowa this year. I mean, there are some outstanding teams in Class 2A that are all within about 35, 40 miles of each other. There's about 6 or 7 teams, and there's going to be some really good teams that aren't going to make the state tournament that can make a legitimate claim to that, just because there's so many good teams in that region. It's impossible to split everybody out. But obviously you have to go with Otabil Arthur, Battle Creek Ida Grove, the defending state champs, and Jessie Pauley, the Northern Iowa signee, who looks like she's off to a really strong start again this year. I think you can make an argument for Esterville Lincoln Central right now, maybe playing the best of any of the 2A schools early on, just because they have everyone back. OABCIG obviously is going to miss that. Zobel at the point guard, and it's always hard to break in a point guard at the beginning of the year, but they'll be fine as the season goes on. Obviously, as long as you have Pauley and Vandersloot, you're going to be really tough. Kemper Catholic, another team, just seems to get kind of snake bit as far as having close games, regional finals, and they're going to be really tough again. Maddie Dries is one of the top players in the class, and you mentioned West Hancock, a state semifinalist in Class 1A last year, moved up to 2A, but doesn't look like they've missed a beat to begin with. And IKM Manning, who gave arguably Otabil Arthur BCIG the toughest game in the state tournament. In that opening round, state tournament opening round last year, they've got a number of kids back as well. They're going to be in the hunt as the year goes on as well.
And we're talking to Jason Eslinger, the information director of the Iowa Girls High School Athletic Union. Let's get that right, IGHSAU. And in Class 1A, this team's interesting. Over the last few years, they've had outstanding regular season records, but for some reason or another, they just haven't quite gotten the job done. They've gotten better and better, and it's North Mahaska of New Sharon. You have them at your top-ranked squad. Is this the year they get over that hump?
Well, I think they're I think they're a special team this year in 1A. I really do. It'll be interesting. They'll have some interesting matchups with Linville Sully, I think, during the course of the year, and I think they play them in the next week, or in the next, I think, week to 2 weeks. So we'll get a pretty good handle just how good they really are. But 1A traditionally is always wide open, but North Mahaska with Mallory Boyle and they have, I think, everyone back from that team last year. That like you said, they're tough. They're going to be a tough team this year, and I think Bedford they've got them ranked second. They have everyone back from a team last year, and of course Arweva, last year's state runners up. They have Danny Koch back, an All-Stater, and North Tama, another team to kind of look out for. They've got a first-team All-Stater in Kaylee Kadivo. I hope I'm saying that correctly. And of course you can't count out Newell Fonda. Newell Fonda has got a number of kids back from last year's state tournament team that lost to Martinsdale St. Mary's in the state tournament opener. And again, you can make the argument that they played Martinsdale better than anybody else did at the tournament last year, or maybe all. So I think those are some really strong teams in 1A just for starters.
Well, it should be an outstanding basketball season. It's very early. A lot of the kids getting from their volleyball legs to their basketball legs. So
that's always a tough turnaround for some.
A quick look back, Jason. Outstanding. I know you had to play the volleyball tournament at the Ice Arena in Cedar Rapids, but everything went perfect for you guys, did it not?
It really did, and the Ice Arena turned out to be a fantastic venue. I mean, we had zero problems, and we weren't really anticipating any, but you never know when you go to a new venue, and Cedar Rapids, especially the crew at the Ice Arena, really worked hard to make that work, and it worked wonderful. In fact, there are a lot of people that I think could honestly say that maybe it was better the volleyball tournament's better suited at that venue than maybe at the South Center. It'll be interesting to see when they get the renovations done what that'll be like next year. But we had a fantastic tournament. We had some fantastic championship matches, a couple surprises. Obviously, we had the great story with Iowa City West and their state championship in Class 4A. Dyke New Hartford, kind of, you hate to say, a third-ranked team coming from nowhere to win a championship, but Western Christian seemed like such an overwhelming favorite in that going into that tournament, and the young Wolverines with those talented freshmen and underclassmen just really put on a show, and of course Waverly Shamrock did and Tripola also winning state tournaments in 3A and 1A put in some great performances, and we got to see a nice end to a career to Megan Gilbert from Tripola, this year's volleyball player of the year, had a fantastic tournament, was captain of the all-tournament team again for the fourth time, and that's never been done in the history of the state volleyball tournament as well. And I don't think that's probably happened at any state tournament where we've had someone be a captain of an all tournament team 4 years in a row. So that's quite an accomplishment, and what a fantastic volleyball player she was. She was a lot of fun to watch.
Jason, thanks for the time tonight. We'll try to catch up with you, I know, as much as possible during the regular season on Friday nights here at about this time, 9-10 every Friday night, as much as possible. We appreciate your time, and have a great basketball season here on the girls.
Well, thanks for everything you do, Tony. Have a good night.
All right, Jason Eslinger, the information director of the Iowa Girls High School Athletic Union.